Hey y'all. Um, as a lot of you may know, I went on another journey and it was very tiring for this run, but I'm not even going to go through all of that. I'm going to go through a few of the visions that I had and just talk about the outcome of what happened and what will happen and what the overall energy has become. So, first things first, I had a vision a few days ago, as well as a dream. So, again, my visions always transverse and go into my dreams, confirm it. And sometimes my dreams, for my own sake, the visions and like I dream within dreams. Some real weird stuff. So, the basis of the dream, I always try to make sure that there is an element of like basic the way you live on earth so that there's not too much like the spiritual world gets very complicated. So in order for me to organize it the way that I know that I will learn, I have to send myself visions through my dreams. So I send myself visions days and weeks ahead in order for me to remember through my dreams. So that when I remember through my dreams, I will remember to sleep and go into the next vision. But I'm still going to stay within the dream realm so that my physical body can sleep, but my other spiritual bodies can go and do what they were supposed to do from the dream, from the physical realm and the dream realm vision that was sent days prior. To some people, that will make sense. To some people, that won't make sense. But to me, it everything aligns perfectly because again, I love planning. Anything to do with planning, I am all about it. So in this vision, I would tell you. So I was by myself first, and it was dusk. So in the beginning of the dream, within the dream, it was morning. But during this point, it's like I had to journey to her. I ran into Oya energy, and Oya was basically telling me we have to go. So I was handed a big bucket, like a not a bucket, like a bowl, and I placed it on my head, and I had the bucket, and I was holding the bucket, and we were walking through really tall, like it wasn't trees, it was like shrubs and like really tall like leaf things. So we were walking through it and I was barefoot and I had the my hand on the bucket and I remembered so she looked back at me before she had her little she had like a thing clearing some of the leaves out of the way. And I had the bucket on water. She goes, "Do not drop a, do not drop a, don't even drop any of the water. Like, don't drop any of the water." And she was really serious. And so I was like, I became careful. So I remembered my feet. Um, and another reason, okay, so let me explain this. My legs, as of recently, the veins have been sticking out a little bit more. And normally, I don't really see my veins within my legs, but I started to notice it a little bit more like before this vision happened. And to me, I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that I am hydrated. If there's problems with my legs, I need to go to the doctor. But the veins I could clearly see in my legs in the vision, those veins that I started to that I would what is it? I was obsessing over the veins in my legs. they became roots in the earth. So my feet were there, but the whole legs of me were rooted, but they were walking. So um, it was quite weird to see me obsess in the physical over veins in my body, and then a few days later have a vision um, of my legs turning into tree roots, and then have the dream that's confirming all of it together, like a scramble, like when you're plugging things together, from the physical, spiritual, and what you need to manifest and all that other stuff. Um, so I'm walking and I have the bucket, and she stops. She like listens out, and she like listens, and then she goes, "We have to hurry up." And so her pace became quicker, but she didn't walk. She floated like water, like she floated like she was the wind, like quickly. And again, when I was a child, up until college, I ran track. I was obsessed with running, um, almost like it was preparing me for a mission that I needed to be on. So I'm uh, walking with her, and then she starts to quick up her pace, and then I'm like, oh no, I felt the water move, and then I'm like, oh crap. So then I split my body into two other women. So to the left it was the yellow, it was like bright golden light, and to the right it was blue light. So my attributes of Oshun, and then of Yemaya, and then myself, I was just like empty. Like I was a vessel type thing. It wasn't like I was a full being. I was like um prepared, like it was a preparation to be full. And then the fourth woman, Oya, was the one who was leading to go where we needed to go. So we were getting there, and I remember seeing the looks on the faces. So Oshun, the reason that I know it's her, because sometimes you can't really tell, it's her in dreams or visions, because she likes to transform into different things all the time, but she has an innate smell about her. It's like honeysuckle. It's like her smell reminds me of gold. If gold had a smell, that's what her smell would be. Um, and it's very like, no matter how she transforms, when anybody, says, "Oh, I know Shun, I see no Shun," or anything like that, I'm like, "What was the smell?" And I always say that. And then to the right, for Yemaya, one thing that is about her is she's open, but she's closed. Like you can read her, but you cannot read her. Like you could see what she will portray what she wants you to see, you know? So versus Oshun will just transverse the way she wants it, like how she wants to be. She does it. But with Yemaya energy, she always melds into what you are, like what she knows that you are thinking. She always does that. So for her, she looked very worried and concerned, and like wondering, like she had a wonderment about her, and what it was just a reflection of what I wanted or what I was thinking, because normally in the spiritual realm I am able to see ahead, but in this moment, in that vision, I could not see anything. It's like I was blind, but I could still see. Like they had the vision, they had the understanding, they had it, but I was concerned because I didn't have it, you know? So I was just the I don't know how to say, I was just the vessel, basically. So we get to this edge. So we finally end and we get to the edge. And then That's when my body started to um so when you plug up a generator like that, each one of their energies, they plugged in something like, and then it was each a different color. So it was the yellow, it was blue, it was red, and then it was just like, um, when you turn on the each switch and then the generator kicks on, it goes like that. So then I became uh like the rainbow colors. So out of my mouth was a bunch of different colors in my rainbow, out of the eyes, out of the nose, out of my ears, out of the top of my head. All of it became rainbow energy. And then my whole body, like, um, so when things crackle and crack off, like all of it, my whole skin and everything just cracked open. And then all it was rainbow colors. That's it. And then, of course, it shot out. And then I don't remember what happened between there. Like, I couldn't remember, like, I can't see what happened after that. Like, I remember the last thing I remember before I entered, the next realm was my feet. My feet was, changed. So no longer was it like the uh, tree branches or tree roots. It broke off, like each one of the roots broke off a little bit, and then there was a connection that was established from the root of me, um, and then that root to the tree, almost like I don't know how to explain. I can most of the stuff that I'm explaining is I'm trying to be the communication specialist, like communicate. I'm obsessed with communication and how to describe what's happening or what happened. So the roots of my feet, almost, it was like, when the a snake goes into a hole and then something else grabs the snake, or the mouth grabs the snake. It's almost like you have an established connection so that you can't get lost. That's almost like, so it's like grounding you back into the universe, so that you can get back. So that's the last thing that I remember. Other than that, I remember it being, however I got there, I was in the middle of a hall. It's all white. The whole thing was white, and there was one man that I could see clearly sitting, and this is who I always call my father, because normally when he speaks above, that he has to get them below. So everybody, is almost like a calling of angels, calling of people, calling of the realm. So in this hall, all I can remember was everybody was yelling and talking. And have you ever seen those movies where, they're all sitting in a hall, like a big group of guys, and they're just like, "Oh, no," and they're just talking. And then all you hear is one big voice is silence. It was just like that, like in a movie. And I wish I could write this movie. It was just so, like, I could see each one of their faces just change. Like they get like, okay, like they're like, okay, and they listen like that. And then it's like all eyes turned towards the back of the room where we were. But the thing is, it wasn't we. It was like one. Like it was like a million different eyes, like on me. It was like it was. It's not like literal. No, maybe it is. Okay, so it was eyes, like third eyes of people. It's not like both eyes. It's like a million different third eyes of different women, men, all that other stuff. And the energy was like one woman, but it was millions of people, like millions of women, millions of men. It was the dichotomy of humankind. It was the balance of awakened beings, everything encompassed, because the masculine energy was there, the feminine energy was there. It was the balance, a perfect balance. That's why this is why I'm calling this video the OSHUMARE video, because once you get to that status of OSHUMARE, you can tap into both masculine and feminine energy. You have that balance of both. And that's what some of the most important leaders of ancient Kemet, the feminine women who could um, tap into both the masculine and the feminine element of the universe and be able to communicate for both of them. Um, so I was there, and then all of the the people, like, when everyone looks back, but then they start opening for you to walk forward. So then I remember gliding forward, and then I get on my hands and my knees like this, and then I bow. And then I remember I didn't bow just like that. I bowed a million different ways. So it was almost like, um, when the Matrix, when he did that little thing in the back, and then all of his bodies just like moved in slow motion. It was like that. It was like when you're bowing, everything was like fluid, like water, and everything else bowed after. So after that, and then he goes, okay, get up. So this is the point where the communication is established. So this is like saying you are going to speak for them. All of you are going to speak, but one of you are going to speak. So all of you are on one accord. So when I began to speak, it was like echo. It was like a rolling thunder, but like the echo. So every single word I spoke was an echo, you know. And then he would, so okay, so he's sitting there and then asking me to speak, and I feel all of these eyes on me, and all of these eyes was like very warm, like they weren't mad at me, they weren't like angry at me, they were like concerned. They're like almost like, when you've been gone for so long and you go to your family's house for Thanksgiving, and then they all get together and they're all just like, hey cousin, hey, where you been at, like, that. But they couldn't come up to me yet. Like it was almost like a day of reckoning type thing. Like it was almost like you need to figure out what he's gonna say because you have done this or you done that. It's almost like it's almost like when you get in trouble and your brother be like, we gonna see what mama says, like we gonna see what mama says after. And then she get home and then she just like, oh, it's okay. I'm too tired to even deal with that, you know? And then y'all go, like, yeah, then you can be excited. So I get there and I started to speak all these languages, almost like millions of, like, in the Bible, there was something in the Bible where it talks about they were praising him 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was almost like that Bible verse, but it was literally that. It was like everybody's prayers that ever existed throughout the whole course of the earth, which is not that old. Everybody's prayers all started speaking at once. It was almost like to see if you've learned your lesson, to see if you humans have learned their lesson, type thing. And it was just like 4 days. Like in the physical realm, it would be maybe millions of years worth of prayers, millions and millions of years worth of prayers from the beginning of time almost. And then in there, it was almost just like this. It was almost like Like you snap your fingers and it's over, you know? And then all I could hear behind me after the prayers had stopped was like all of them just whispered. And then he just goes, hmm, like, like a like didn't say anything. Almost like contemplating, like thinking, hmm, like, But he didn't do all that dramatic stuff. And then he goes, okay, now tell the people of the earth to release the rainbow, right? And then, so that's what I was just like, okay, the knowledge is going to start coming down to everybody. So, for example, in the Hopi tribe, and not just talk about the Hopi tribe, and there is a story about a woman who came down, a white buffalo woman who came down, and she bestowed upon humanity each color of the rainbow, and that tribe had to encompass and understand that knowledge of that color, of that environment, of that. And at the end of it, all the tribes would give her back the knowledge. So this is this is my understanding and this is my truths. If it ain't for you, it ain't for you. But this is what I got from her information. Because number one, I'm nosy. I am nosy. In the spiritual realm, baby, I am nosy. I want to know everything. I want to know all of it. And so I sit there, like my whole thing is to learn. My whole thing is to see how much information that I can encompass in my brain. Like how much knowledge can I contain inside of my head without having to write it down, without having to go to the books, without what is it? So what I got was each color of the rainbow was like um not just a tribe, there was a chosen few of each color of the rainbow. They had the ability to do tremendous things. I'm talking crazy things with their mind, right? But it was passed down from generation to generation through visions, dreams, lessons, and time, and all of it. She was there in their dreams, guiding them, behind them, guiding them how to get this knowledge. What is this about? What is this about? And most of these men or women are some of our leaders, are some of our secret leaders. Um, so once they got to a certain level of understanding of I want to say money. I don't know why that came out. Once they got to this, like even for green, let's say for green, you had to understand the how the trees worked, how the ecosystem worked, how the ground talked to the wind, how the mushrooms of the earth spread back out the energy from the dying trees. You had to have oko energy. You had to understand that energy. You had to be a child of that energy. You had to pray to that energy. You had to learn from that energy. You had to become that energy. And it was almost impossible for you ever to learn that there's more to learn. Always there's more to learn. But that energy was passed down from generations from this specific color for your lineage to learn it. So once your lineage learned this color, not even color, let's just say this energy, you had the ability to hop in between them if you were a child of, let's just say, Elegua. The children of Elegua, they have the ability to transverse all of the colors, but other energies they have to stay within their own lane, their own path, because their children have to learn a specific lesson in order for them to give to her at the end the knowledge of that color. You know what I mean? Or the knowledge of that story. So most of the stories are just not just stories. Most of them are hidden understandings of secret knowledge that must be passed down from generations to generations through verbal communication, because the verbal communication is the same way. It has a way of you envisioning it. When you write it down, it's different. it doesn't have the same contact and the same ability as when you are communicating it. Because when you communicate it, for example, this is how my mother would train me without her even knowing, or with her knowing, because my mother was a G. She was so good. You guys, my mother was brilliant, brilliant. So, for example, she would teach me a lot when it comes to weather. So she would always help me to understand stories through weather patterns, everything to do with patterns. So I would always ask her why it rains, why it rained when the sun was out, why there was tornadoes, why there was lightning strikes, and she would tell me the passages. So she would tell me, okay, well, when it rains, that means the rains when the sun's out. That means the devil's beating his wife. This was passed down to me. What do you think? And so that I would go into, I'd be like, Mommy, what I think is, I think that each day of the week, there's a different angel who owns that day, and they decide what the rain does on that day. So sometimes they want both the rain and the sun. Sometimes they want to just cry and let it all out. And sometimes they want the sun to be there all the time, you know? So I would tell her what I thought, so I could start to pass that on. I was adding on to her knowledge. So the knowledge that I gained, I can pass on to my child. And I can ask him what he thought, because the angels are giving him different communications because of his different paths too. Oh, it's a lot. But I will say that everybody on everybody's head is Obatala, is the owner of knowledge. So no matter what color you are white. You are white. And that's one of my last name is White. You know, before my dad's last name is White. Um, but that's it. That's simple. You know, Obatala is the owner of all heads, and he's the one who speaks within the realm. And when he speaks, you listen. You do not talk over him. And that's one thing that I do notice about a lot of the children here. Like um, for example, they haven't learned when to speak, to be quiet, and when to speak. So whenever I go off into my journey and off by myself and be quiet for weeks at a time, it's because I'm learning when to shut up. The spiritual realm wanted me to know, when do you shut up and when do you talk? You know, and that's it was very hard for me. You know, I love being online. I love talking to people and letting them know the knowledge that I receive, but not all knowledge needs to be known right then and there. Sometimes it takes an accumulation of the knowledge in order for you to get to where you're going to go, in order for you to explain how you got there, you know? But if you explain every step of the way while you're doing it, you are going to trip. Instead of, if you were to wait to the end and then go backwards, then you can explain how to get to the rainbow. Then you can explain how to understand your color. Uh, so this is why one thing, I love the Yoruba culture. I love Ifa, Santaria. I love the teachers there. Within these religions, in the diasporic religions and in the original religion, um there's so many nuances of each of the deities that transfer. Okay, so how do I explain this? Hold on. Okay, so let me say, so it's almost like they made a list, and each point of the list of, so the deity likes this food, this deity likes to be on this day. This deity likes this animal. This deity likes this. So it's basically, they were aligning a what is the I want to say Marduk? No, there's a tree of knowledge where how everything connects at the end. Um, each one of the deities have their own understanding, within that. So some children of Ogun, for example, cannot go over to be a child of Shango. So the story comes that Shango um, and Oya were married, or no, so Ogun and Oya were married, but Oya fell in love with Shango, and Shango stole Oya from Ogun. So Ogun and Shango are mad at each other. That's almost the same thing as saying this part of the tree and this part of the tree cannot connect. This part of the tree has to go to this part of the tree in order to connect with this part of the tree, in order for it to have the full effect of the here, let me actually figure out what that was, because I keep seeing this in my dream. It's like a marb tree. It's like a goodness. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Hold on. It's a tree of knowledge. Tree of knowledge. Anyway, I wish I had. I'm gonna have to put it. I'm gonna have to put it in the link below or whatever to type it out. But this tree is almost like organized as the deities themselves. So one of the biggest tests is emptying out your vessel, decoding and deconstructing everything that they have put inside of your vessel in order for you to take out codependent energy, for example, on men. Like, one of the biggest things, in my opinion, with the twin flame journey was deconstructing the codependent link between man and woman. The codependent link is so strong because it has been built and ingrained over century upon century that we have to depend on them and they have to depend on us, but almost obsessively, so we can maintain a vision of what life is supposed to be, instead of actually taking a step back from the codependent energy and being like, hey, something's not right. Let me take a step back and reanalyze myself so I can get to know you better. Because when I search for myself, I find my other half, because my other half has never left me. My other half has always been here with me, guiding me and teaching me and giving me the knowledge that I need in order to sustain my trajectory towards becoming who I really am. So, all in all, the biggest thing when it comes to the twin flame journey is that energy is so potent, guys. So the energy that the codependency has between those twin flame relationships, the ones that constantly hurt each other and get hurt and things like that, that hurt energy is almost the same thing as when you bang yourself against the head, or you bang your head against the wall, and you keep banging your head against the wall, you keep banging your head. At some point, you either gonna kill yourself or you're gonna stop it and you're gonna take a step back and be like, look, I respect myself enough not to bang myself in the head, but let me go find myself. Let me go figure out what's going on with myself. Because why would I bang myself up against the head knowing dang well it's gonna happen the same thing over and over and over and over? Why do I watch the same videos over and over and over with the same messages, instead of taking a step back and me going to my cards and reading, or me going to this thing and not obsessing over it? because it's the codependent energy needs to be extinguished in order for you to make it to the next step. That's 100%. That's 100%. Uh, so other than like the whole love, God was just trying to teach y'all how to love yourself and how to love him more than you love your partner. Because when you love him more than you love your partner, you love yourself because you are God. You are a piece of his energy. And that other person, if they are not on the same trajectory with God as you are, that means that ain't supposed to be for you. That's not your man. That's not your girlfriend. That's not, because God did not place him right there where he can confirm it. If it is not confirmed through the word of God, it is not yours. Because the minute you think that you know everything and you know who your man is and who your woman is, that's when you don't know. Because then the surprises come and then you cry to God, be like, oh my gosh, guess what he did to me? Da, 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 da. And God was like, but did I place him in your life or did you go look for him? I already told your man that I already told your husband he's supposed to be there on this date at this time with this rose, with this, and this key, and this. You won't have